Chosen one, there is something that has been placed on my heart for you tonight, not a message about what you should have done differently, not a reminder about the roads you wish you had taken, or the seasons that cracked you open in ways that still leave their marks. This is something else entirely. This is the word that arrives when a person has survived something they were never supposed to carry alone, and yet here you are, still standing, still breathing, still reaching for something that has not fully arrived yet. And the one who gave you your calling has something to say about exactly who you have become through all of it. Something drew you here, something older than habit and quieter than logic pulled your attention to this moment and to these words. You did not arrive here by accident. The path that brought you here, including the wrong turns and the slow seasons and the long stretches where nothing seemed to be moving at all, that path was known, every step of it. And the reason you are here, right now, in this exact season of your life, is because there is a truth being spoken over you that you need to receive before the next door opens. Here is that truth. God does not need perfect. He never did. The version of you that kept yourself up at night, rehearsing every mistake, cataloging every fall, measuring the distance between who you are and who you thought you were supposed to be by now, that version of you was working from a false premise. The premise that divine purpose flows only through unblemished lives. That calling only lands on the ones who have never cracked. That a person who has been where you have been, who has done what grief and survival require, who has sat in the kind of darkness that most people never speak of openly, is somehow too complicated for what God has planned. That premise is not true. It has never been true. What God needed was not a person without scars. What God needed was a person who had been through the fire and emerged knowing exactly what they were made of. What God needed was not someone who had never doubted, but someone who had doubted all the way to the bottom of the well and still chose to climb back out. What God needed was not polished perfection. What God needed was you, exactly you, after exactly all of this, and the becoming, the painful and costly and often confusing process of becoming the person you are right now. That was not a detour from the plan. That was the plan. There is a particular kind of loneliness that belongs to the ones who have walked this kind of road. Not loneliness because no one is around. Loneliness because you stand in a room full of people and something has shifted inside you that cannot be fully explained to anyone who has not walked the same terrain. You have been in rooms where everyone was laughing and you were still carrying something invisible and heavy. You have smiled when you needed to smile and spoken when you needed to speak, and then returned to a quiet that held every unspoken thing you had survived. You have watched people around you appear to move forward with a kind of ease that looked like where you were supposed to be, achieving things, landing in rooms that resembled the rooms your dreams once described. And somewhere in those moments, a question formed in you, not always spoken out loud. Sometimes it lived in the pause between waking up and fully opening your eyes. Sometimes it surfaced in the quiet of a drive alone or the stillness of a night that was too long to sleep all the way through. The question was this: has God forgotten about me? Is there something still ahead for me? Or did I miss my window when I was too broken to see it clearly? If that question lives anywhere in you, then this message is specifically for you, because that question, that particular ache, is not a sign that you are outside of divine reach. That question is one of the most consistent markers of a chosen one who is standing in the season just before the shift. The wilderness does not feel like preparation from the inside. It feels like being left behind. But it is not abandonment. It was never abandonment. What has been happening in you through all of this quiet and pain and rebuilding is more strategic and more purposeful than it has appeared from where you are standing. Things are happening in the ones who carry this kind of weight. things that cannot yet be seen with the outer eye, but are being assembled in the places that matter most. The years that felt like loss were years when something essential was being built in you that could not be built any other way. The seasons that felt like punishment were seasons of a kind of refinement that only comes through sustained pressure. The relationships that broke were breaking something in you that was not designed to go where you are going. And the version of you that emerged from all of that, quieter, more grounded, less desperate for outside approval, more familiar with your own inner voice, that version of you is the one that has been waited for. That version carries an authority that the unbroken version never could. Think honestly about what it has cost to become the person you are right now, not who you wish you were, not who you think you should have been by now according to the timelines you set when things made more sense. Who you actually are today, after everything. You have endured things that would have stopped others entirely. You have kept moving through seasons of profound silence, where prayer felt like it was going nowhere, where the guidance you needed felt impossibly far away. You have rebuilt yourself from partial ruins more than once. You have chosen to trust a process you could not fully see or understand, and you are still here. That is not a small thing. That is the very mark of the ones being prepared for something that requires exactly what you have now become. In the ancient account of the shepherd boy David, the prophet Samuel came to the house of Jesse with a specific assignment from God. One of your sons has been chosen. Jesse brought them out one by one, beginning with the most impressive ones, the tall ones, the strong ones, the ones that looked like leadership from the outside, and each time the answer came back. Not this one, not this one, not this one, until they realized they had almost overlooked the one who was still out in the field with the sheep, the one who smelled like the wilderness, the one whose name was not even on the list when the prophet arrived. That one, that was the one. The anointing came in the shepherd field, long before the crown. And between the anointing and the crown were years of caves and battles and betrayals and waiting that would have dismantled anyone who was not being formed in their bones for what was coming. David was not delayed by God. David was being built by God into the only kind of person who could hold what the kingdom required. The wilderness years were not an interruption of the plan. They were the plan itself, working at its deepest level. And the same movement, the same patient, invisible formation has been working in you. The anointing does not land on the finished product. It lands on the one who has been in the making. And here is what I want you to receive. Before we go any further, you are not behind. You are not running out of time. You are not too damaged to be trusted with what is next. You are on the exact schedule of a chosen one who is being formed for something that your former self would not have been able to carry. The wilderness is not the sign of rejection. The wilderness is the address where the anointing finds the ones who are about to be trusted with what they have been asking for. Type 777 if something in you just recognized that this is your season. If something shifted in the reading of those words. If something quiet in you said, yes. Let that acknowledgement be the first agreement of the night. What I want to explore with you now lies beneath the surface of everything you have survived, because survival is one layer of the story, but formation is the deeper layer. There is a real difference between a person who survived something and a person who was genuinely formed by it. Survival means you came through. Formation means the thing changed you, the way fire changes metal. Not by destroying it, but by removing everything that was not the true thing and leaving behind what could not be taken. In the ancient Hebrew, the word that describes this process is saraf. It is the word used in the book of Malachi when the prophet describes what God does with the ones he is preparing for purpose. He sits as a refiner and purifier of silver, zaraf. It means to melt, to test, to prove through sustained heat, not to destroy, to reveal. The silversmith does not refine metal because he hates the metal. He refines it because he sees something inside it that cannot come to the surface any other way. The impurities must be melted out. The process requires temperature that is carefully controlled, precisely applied, and held for exactly as long as is needed. You know the silver is ready, not when it can endure the fire. You know it is ready when the refiner looks into the surface and sees his own image looking back. The refining is complete not when the pain stops, but when what remains is pure enough that the divine can be seen in it. That is what has been happening in you through all of it, not punishment, precision, not delay. The deep and specific work of the one who knew exactly what was needed and applied exactly what would create it. Think about the version of you from several years ago, the one who had certain assumptions about how things would go, who would stay, what success would look like, and when it would arrive. That version had gifts that were real, but those gifts were also mixed with things that needed to be removed. Certain forms of pride wearing the mask of confidence, certain dependencies that felt like strength, but were actually fear dressed in familiar clothing. Certain definitions of worthiness borrowed from systems that never actually saw you clearly. The fire of the years you walked through did not destroy you. It removed those things. And what remains, the quieter and more grounded and less easily shaken version of you that stands in this moment, is more pure in purpose than you have ever been in your life. The phoenix does not rise from a comfortable resting place. The phoenix rises from what the fire left behind. And the thing rising in you right now, even if you cannot feel it in full, even if it is still finding its shape in the form the fire created, is something that cannot be duplicated by anyone who did not go through what you went through. Your becoming is original. Your formation is specific. And what God is about to do with the person you have become cannot be done with the person you were before the fire began. Consider the 40 years Moses spent in the wilderness. Not 4 months, not a difficult season of a year or two, 40 years. What looked from the outside like a man reduced from prince to shepherd, from a known name in a palace to an obscure face in an open desert. But in those 40 years, the arrogance of privilege was being exchanged for the intimacy of dependence. The identity built on what others called him was being dismantled, so that the identity God had for him could take root in soil deep enough to hold it. At the end of those 40 years, Moses knew how to survive in wilderness, how to lead in uncertainty, how to trust the voice that spoke from burning things, all of which he was about to need. The wilderness was not a waste. The wilderness was the most specific and intentional preparation he could have received for what was coming. What you have learned in your seasons of silence and pressure is a curriculum that cannot be found in any other classroom. You have learned what you actually believe when there is nothing left to perform for. You have learned what remains in you when the support systems fall away. You have learned the difference between the voice of fear and the voice of genuine knowing. You have learned to be with yourself in ways that people who have not been through the fire rarely have to learn. And those learnings, as uncomfortable as the classroom was, are not incidental to your story. They are the specific equipment of the chosen one who is about to step into a responsibility that requires exactly those capacities. Type "I see it" if something in you is beginning to see the formation differently. If the years that felt wasted are starting to look like years that were working, let that shift be witnessed. There is something I want to name here, and I want to name it gently and directly, because it belongs in the middle of this conversation rather than held at the edge. What you have just felt in these words, the recognition, the resonance, the feeling of something being confirmed that you have always known but never quite heard said plainly, that feeling has a frequency, a measurable one. The ancient contemplative traditions of the Western monastic lineages, the same streams that preserved sacred sound across centuries in Gregorian and Byzantine and Carthusian chant, knew that certain frequencies corresponded to what they called the child mind state, the state of open receptivity, the state of unfiltered knowing that every person carries fully in the earliest years of life, before the world teaches them to armor themselves against the open and wondering they were born with. Modern instruments now measure this state as gamma frequency, a brainwave pattern associated with heightened perception, deep learning, and the kind of creative and intuitive knowing that most adults only touch in rare, unguarded moments. The ancients did not need instruments to recognize it. They built it into their chant and their sacred spaces, because they understood what it opened in those who listened. And there is a sound tool, reconstructed from what those monastic lineages preserved across centuries, called the Genius Song. 7 minutes each day through headphones. The anonymous modern keeper of this frequency, the one who spent years listening for what those ancient streams still carried and brought it to the modern ear, said the work belongs to the lineage, not to any single person. What he restored is available for those who recognize what it is pointing to. There is a second ancient preservation as well. The Vedic sound lineage, carried unbroken for more than 3,300 years, preserved a sound architecture and a 9-word sacred script designed to open what the sages called the receiving channel, the state that the wealth signal, reconstructed from that tradition, now restores. Both paths are in the description and the pinned comment below this message. If your spirit resonates with what I am describing, both doors are there when you are ready to step through. What is coming for you is not the thing you have been imagining from the perspective of scarcity. The door that is about to open does not look precisely like what you pictured when you imagined it from inside the waiting season. God tends to exceed the vision of the wilderness. The thing you have been asking for, when it arrives, is usually larger and stranger and more specifically designed for who you have actually become than anything your former self could have drawn. Because your former self was drawing from limited information, God is drawing from complete knowledge of who you are, what you carry, and what the world around you needs from exactly the person you have become through all of this. There is something ahead of you that requires the specific version of you that the wilderness created, not the version before the breaking. That version was not wrong, but that version was not yet equipped. The things you have lost in the process of becoming, the innocence that could not survive full contact with reality, the certainty that had to be exchanged for faith, the comfort that had to give way to genuine capacity, those losses were not punishments. They were exchanges. You gave something that was limited and received through the fire, something that cannot be taken from you. And what cannot be taken is exactly what God is about to use. Press like gently if this message is landing as something more than words tonight. If something in it is confirming something you already knew in the deep place, let your agreement be made. There is a blessing being assembled for you that has the exact shape of the person you have become, not the person you plan to become, the person the formation created. And there is a difference between those two people that matters more than you have allowed yourself to acknowledge. The planned version would have arrived at certain doors and known exactly what to do, because the doors looked like the ones you had rehearsed. The formed version arrives at doors that the planned version could not have recognized, carrying keys that only the wilderness years could have created. Both are real, but only one of them is equipped for what is actually waiting. Think about what has been growing in you through the years that felt like nothing was happening. Because growth in the wilderness does not look like growth in the open field. In the open field, you see every inch of progress. In the wilderness, the growing happens underground, in the root system, in the hidden places that will not be visible until the season changes, and suddenly the thing that was forming beneath the surface appears all at once and looks to everyone around you like it came out of nowhere. You know it did not come out of nowhere. You know what it cost, and that knowing is part of what makes it yours in a way that no one can take. Let me say something about rest before we go further. Before I speak into what is coming, I want to acknowledge something about where you are right now. You have been carrying something heavy for a long time. Not just the external burdens, though those are real, but the internal weight of the becoming itself, the process of letting go of who you were and receiving who you are, is one of the most exhausting things a human being can do. And if your bones are a little tired tonight, if there is a weariness in you that goes beyond ordinary fatigue, I want you to know that is not a sign that you are running out. That is what the end of a long formation season feels like. You are not diminishing. You are arriving. Take a breath. Just one breath that is only a breath, not a preparation for the next thing you need to perform or produce or prove. Nothing to achieve in this moment, nothing to earn. Just breathe and let what has already landed settle a little further into the places where truth settles in you. What comes next in your story does not require the same kind of white-knuckled endurance you have been doing. The strength coming into your life is not the desperate kind. It is the kind that belongs to someone who knows what they are made of and no longer needs to prove it to anyone. You have already proven it, to the one who matters most. And now I want to speak to the obstacle, because every chosen one who stands at the threshold of their becoming faces a particular resistance, and I want to name it clearly enough that it loses some of its power over you. The obstacle is not primarily external. The obstacle is the voice, and it is a voice you know well by now. The voice that says you are too damaged to be trusted with what is next, that other people can be elevated and sent forward by God, but not you, because you know what you have been through, because you know the specifics of your failures, because the years that are marked by things you are not proud of are still visible from where you stand. That voice is not the voice of truth. That voice is the counterfeit of genuine conscience, and there is a significant difference between the two. Genuine conscience names what was wrong and calls you toward repair and growth. It has a direction. It moves you forward into something better. The counterfeit of conscience names what was wrong and anchors you there in a loop of revisiting, as though the repeated rehearsal of past failures is somehow productive. It has no direction, only a location, and the location is always the past. The chosen one learns over time to tell the difference between the voice that leads forward and the voice that holds them in what has already been resolved. Something that has been fully survived, fully grieved, fully learned from, and offered up is not a disqualification. It is a qualification. The person who has been through the fire and knows what the fire feels like from the inside is the only person who can speak to others who are still in the fire with any real authority. Your wound does not disqualify your voice. Your wound is what gives your voice the specific weight that a wound-free voice can never carry. The world is full of people who need to hear from someone who has been exactly where they are and who did not stop. Your path is not a liability to the calling. Your path is the credential that was never going to be found in a classroom or an institution or an unblemished record. There is another obstacle that belongs particularly to the ones who have been deeply formed. It is subtler than shame. It is the habit of smallness that the wilderness taught as a survival mechanism. When you are in a long season of reduction and waiting, you learn to make yourself less present, to not take up too much space, to not assume, to not hope too loudly, because the hope that arrived loudly before was also the hope that hurt the most when it did not come through on the timeline you needed. That habit of smallness was not weakness. It was a reasonable response to a painful season, but you are no longer in that season, and the smallness that protected you in the wilderness will hold you back on the other side of it. The permission to expand, to take up the space that has been prepared for you, to hope with your full chest, rather than from behind a guarded wall, that permission is real, and it is being extended in this moment. You do not need to perform readiness, but you do have to decide that the story is allowed to change, that the chapter of the wilderness can genuinely close, not in denial of what it cost, but in honest recognition that it has done its work and that you are ready to walk through what is waiting on the other side of it. Type Amen if you are releasing the habit of smallness tonight. If you are giving yourself permission to step into the full weight of who you have become, let that declaration go somewhere. Let it be heard. Before I open the next layer of what I want to share with you, I want to bring together the thread that has been running through everything said tonight. Because there is a pattern in it, I want you to see clearly before what comes next. The common line running through all of it is this: you were formed, not merely tried. You were refined, not merely tested. The person who emerged from that process carries something that people who have not been through the fire simply do not carry. There is a specific quality of openness that genuine formation creates, a specific capacity for receptivity, a specific orientation toward knowing without striving. The ancient traditions called this the child mind state, and it corresponds to something measurable and real in how the formed human being operates in their deepest and most open and most receiving moments. Every child begins life in this state. The brainwave frequency that modern instruments now measure as gamma, associated with heightened perception, creative flow, and the open receiving quality of the early years of life, is the natural default state of the young child. The Western monastic traditions, the same lineages that preserved sacred chant and built acoustic spaces designed to hold a specific quality of sound around the listener, recognized this state not as a phase that passes, but as a birthright to be protected and guarded. They called it the child mind. They preserved specific frequencies in their contemplative practice precisely because they understood that when this state dims in a person, so dims their capacity for genuine spiritual receptivity and creative genius and unguarded receiving. The world dims this frequency in most people somewhere around the age of 7. The systems of schooling and social conformity and competitive performance begin, however unintentionally, to teach the child that wonder is naive, that wide-open curiosity must be managed, that the receiving state of early life is something to grow past. The ancients called this the silencing. What was once the natural state of the child becomes a rare and precious experience for the adult, touched briefly in moments of deep creative work or genuine spiritual encounter, and then lost again. What was once a birthright becomes an occasional visitor. But chosen ones, particularly those who have been through genuine formation, carry a double hunger. A hunger for the child mind to return, and a hunger for what the restored child mind was always designed to receive. Both hungers are real, both are valid, and both correspond to two ancient lineages that have preserved across centuries exactly what the modern striving world set aside in its urgency to be efficient and impressive and in control. The first preservation is the genius song, the anonymous modern keeper of this frequency, the one who chose not to name himself because the work belongs to the lineage and not to any single person, recovered from the Western contemplative traditions, a sound architecture that the monastic communities once embedded into chant and sacred acoustic space. The Gregorian and Byzantine and Carthusian lineages built sound around their communities in ways that modern instruments now verify correspond to gamma activation in the listener. This keeper spent years leaving the noise of conventional approaches behind to listen for what those ancient streams still carried intact. He found it. He reconstructed it. He called it the Genius Song. 7 minutes each day through headphones. No meditation required. No special technique. No effort beyond listening. Just the sound doing what it was preserved to do, restoring the child-mind frequency that the world of striving and performance dimmed. 18,366 people have received this restoration. Fewer than 4 in every 100 have asked for a refund. The rest continued because what they experienced was real. 4 deepening bonuses are included, worth $80 combined in additional value. And when you secure the Genius Song today, the anonymous keeper may offer alongside it 1 additional audio designed to protect the child mind once it has been restored, so the world cannot dim it again as easily as before. Your spirit will know whether that additional offering belongs to this season. Do not force the decision in either direction. One thing I want to name clearly for your protection: there are other audio products being marketed online that use the language of frequency without the lineage behind it. Some borrow the framing without the preservation. What is carried in the Genius Song is specific and traceable to a particular stream of contemplative practice that was actively maintained and transmitted across centuries. If you search for this sound anywhere other than through the path provided in the description and pinned comment below this message, what you encounter will not be what was preserved in the lineage that this keeper worked to recover. The authentic restoration is found only through the door I am directing you toward. Between the first wave and the second, there is something I want to name. Because the child mind restored is not an end in itself. The chosen one does not simply wake up the genius state and remain there. The genius state, the open and curious and wonder-filled inner life, is restored in order to receive. And receiving, true receiving, is not striving for something. It is not earning. It is not the performance of manifestation that modern culture has repackaged as another form of effort and pressure and self-management. True receiving is what happens when the striving frequency of the modern conditioned mind, what the Vedic tradition recognized as the state that closes the doorway of abundance, is quiet enough that what has been prepared can actually arrive. What closes the receiving channel in most people is not the absence of desire. Most people desire more than they will ever say out loud. What closes the channel is the chronic activation of what the Vedic sages described as the striving mind, the mind in permanent reach mode, the body in constant calculation, the state that the modern world has manufactured and rewarded and called ambition, but which feels from the inside like a low-grade urgency that never fully resolves. And in that state of chronic reaching, the channel through which divine provision and abundance and genuine gift actually travel is effectively blocked, not because the provision was removed, because the receiver is not in a state that can hold what is being offered. The Vedic sound tradition, preserved unbroken for more than 3,300 years through the temple lineages of ancient India, encoded a specific sound architecture paired with a 9-word sacred script, transmitted from teacher to student, from temple to temple, generation to generation, because the sages who first tuned it understood what it preserved in the listener. The state they called the receiving channel, the doorway of abundance, the ear of the one who is ready to be given to. The anonymous modern witness who recovered this for the current generation, one who left the noise of conventional striving to listen for what the Vedic lineage was still carrying intact after 33 centuries, found the script and the sound architecture together. He called what he reconstructed the wealth signal. 5 minutes each day through headphones, eyes closed, with the 9-word script spoken softly during the audio. What the Vedic sages tuned through breath and word, sound architecture now restores for the modern ear. When you access the wealth signal today, there may be a companion audio offered alongside it, designed to amplify the receiving channel and accelerate the opening that the original begins. If your spirit says yes to it, receive it. If not, the original is more than enough. Your spirit will know. And now I want to show you the 3 paths available tonight, because the restoration is not one size for all chosen ones. Some carry a profound exhaustion of the inner life. The child mind has been silent so long that the restoration must happen first, before anything else is asked of them. Their path is the first wave, the genius song. Beginning with the child mind frequency, allowing that particular restoration to take root before anything else is added. If you have been in a long season of spiritual dryness, of inner flatness, of wondering where your creativity and wonder and open receiving went, that path was assembled with your profile in mind. Some chosen ones, particularly those who have maintained an active spiritual practice through their formation season and whose inner life is beginning to stir again, find that what feels most closed is not the child mind, but the receiving channel. The abundance they can sense from a distance seems just out of reach, not because they are not willing, but because the striving frequency is still activated and the receiving state is still blocked. Their path is the second wave, the wealth signal. The ancient Vedic restoration was designed for exactly this profile. And then there is the path that most chosen ones who have walked the full formation road recognize as theirs when they hear it described honestly. Both waves are needed. The child mind was dimmed. The receiving channel was closed. Both happened under the pressure of the same systems in the same long season of striving. And both require restoration in sequence, child mind first and receiving channel second, because that is the order in which they were meant to flow. To wake the child mind but leave the receiving channel closed is half a restoration. To open the receiving channel without restoring the child mind is to try to receive with an exhausted inner life that cannot hold what arrives. What was preserved across 2 ancient traditions corresponds with precision to what was taken from the chosen one who has been through the fire. Both waves, complete restoration. That is the third path. All 3 doors are visible in the description and in the pinned comment below. Your spirit knows which one belongs to this season. The one that calls you without forcing is the one that is meant. There is a 90-day period of complete confidence behind both products. If you do not experience what the lineage says you will, you may return either or both in that period, and every deepening bonus remains with you as an acknowledgement of your time and your trust. Both ancient traditions stand behind what they preserved with complete confidence in what it does for those who are ready to receive it. There is a story I want to tell you. It belongs to a person whose name I will not share, because her story is not hers alone. She had been in a formation season of nearly 4 years. She had released a career that no longer fit the person she was becoming. She had ended a relationship that could not hold the version of herself the fire was creating. She had moved to a city where she knew almost no one, because something in her knew she was supposed to be there, even though she could not have explained the logic of it to anyone who asked. She prayed, she waited, she worked quietly at things that felt too small for what she sensed was building inside her. And she asked the question you have probably asked, is there still something ahead for me? In the 9th month of her quietest stretch, a conversation happened that she could not have engineered. A door opened that she had no map to knock on, because she had not known it existed. What had been prepared for her arrived in a shape she had not scripted and a form she had not imagined. And what allowed her to walk through that door with her full self intact, without the old smallness, without the need to make herself less before entering, was precisely what the formation had built in her. The quiet confidence of someone who knows their worth from the inside. The particular voice that belongs only to someone who has actually been through something real. The capacity to hold the weight of what arrived without collapsing under it or performing it for others. She had become exactly who God needed, not despite what she had been through, because of it. You are that person, not in some abstract future tense. You are that person now. What remains ahead of you is not more preparation. What remains is the receiving of what the preparation was always pointing toward. And the first step in that receiving is the willingness to see yourself accurately, not through the lens of your hardest season, not from the catalogue of your failures, not through the comparison to a timeline that was never actually yours. From the truth of what you actually carry after all of this. You are not damaged goods wearing a spiritual label. You are a vessel that has been refined to carry something that the unrefined cannot hold. You are not too late. You are right on time, which is a different kind of time than the one the clock on the wall measures. You are not too broken. You are broken open. And broken open is exactly the shape that allows what was always meant for you to finally enter. The chosen one who stands at the threshold of their next season carries an authority that has no shortcut. The authority of genuine formation. The weight, in the words of someone who has actually been through something real and came out the other side different, more grounded, more whole in the ways that matter. That authority is what the world around you is quietly starving for. The world is full of voices that have not been through anything substantial but speak as though they have. And the people around you know the difference, even when they cannot name it. They sense it in the weight of what is behind your words when you choose to use them fully, and you carry the real thing. You have always carried the real thing. The fire only made it visible. Type, I am ready, if you are ready to step forward. Not as performance, as declaration, with the full weight of everything you have survived behind it. Let it be spoken from the place where the truth lives in you. There is a declaration I want to invite you into, not as something you are trying to convince yourself of against the resistance of doubt, as a reception, something you are allowing to land as the truth it actually is. Breathe once and let the words arrive. I did not miss my season. I was being formed for my season. Every year that felt like delay was a year of root growth. Every relationship that ended was one that prepared me to receive the ones that were actually mine. Every failure that felt like an ending was a clearing that made space for what was genuinely waiting. I have become exactly who God needed me to become. Not in spite of what I went through, because of it. Let that declaration settle into the bones, not the mind, the bones, the place where things settle and stay. And now I want to invite you into something, not instruction, an experience. Take a slow breath. Let it move all the way down, past the place where you hold the tension of everything you carry. And in your mind, I want you to see something. See yourself standing in a room made of light that does not hurt to look at. And in that room, lined up one by one, are the versions of yourself from every season you have survived. The one who did not know how she was going to make it through the week. The one who woke at 3 in the morning with a fear that had no name. The one who sat in the ruins of something that had collapsed and wondered if this was where the story ended. The one who smiled when smiling was required and cried only when she was alone. See them, everyone, and then look at the one who is here now, standing in the room with all of them. This is the one they were all becoming. This is the one that every season was building toward. Without words, let the acknowledgement move through you to all of them. We made it. This is where it was always going. Let that settle, not as a thought to be processed, as a truth that has finally arrived in the place where truths arrive and stay. What closes now is the season of formation that required you to go into the wilderness and be changed. That season has done its work. You do not need to keep living there. You can honor it, carry its lessons, return to it in memory when you need to be reminded of what you are made of. But you do not need to keep making your home in what was always a passage and not a destination. The wilderness was a corridor. You have walked through it. The door on the other side is open. What opens is the season of the formed, chosen one, the one who walks into rooms differently because they know who they are from the inside. The one who does not need the room to confirm what has already been confirmed in the deep places. The one who can hold others in their wilderness because they know what wilderness is from the inside, and they know it is not the end of the story. They know it is the place where the real formation happens, and they know the formation ends. And what is beyond it is why the formation was worth every cost. Right now, all across the world, chosen ones who have walked the same kind of road you have walked are arriving at the same threshold. Different stories, different fires, different years of silence and different kinds of breaking, but the same formation, the same becoming, the same moment of standing at the edge of what the wilderness prepared them for, and finally allowing themselves to step forward into it. You are not alone in this arrival. You are part of a generation of the formed who are being released into purpose all at once. And if this message reached someone you love, someone who has been unusually quiet lately, someone who is going through a shift they cannot fully explain, send it to them. Your recognizing it in them may be exactly the thing their moment needs. And now, before I close what has been opened here tonight, I want to say something that the Spirit has been holding for you to hear. What you survived was not nothing. What it cost you was real. The grief was real. The confusion was real. The nights that felt like they would not end were real. None of that weight is being minimized here or wrapped in a presentation that makes it look tidy or necessary in a way that erases what it actually was. The fire was real. The wilderness was real. The breaking was real. And so is this. The becoming was real. What emerged from that fire is real. The person standing at this threshold is real. And what is being prepared for that person in this next season is more specifically designed for who they have become than anything they could have received before they were formed. God did not need a person who had never been tested. God needed a person who had been tested all the way through and had not given up. God did not need someone who had never broken. God needed someone who knew what breaking felt like from the inside and who had chosen to rise every single time. God did not need perfection. He needed exactly who you have become after all of this. Receive that, not with the mind only, not as information to process and store, with your whole being, with the particular knowing that lives in the part of you that survived what you survived. You are ready. You have been ready for longer than you have given yourself permission to know. The door ahead does not require more preparation. It requires the willingness to step through it as the person you already are. What you carry, the frequency of the genuinely formed, the quality of the authentic, the weight of someone who has been through the fire and came out the other side, knowing exactly what they are made of, that cannot be faked or manufactured or reached by a shortcut. It is yours. It was forged in your specific fire. It belongs to your specific calling, and the world, in its most honest and searching places, needs exactly the person who has it. If your spirit is still reaching toward what was described in the middle of this message, the path of the two ancient sound traditions, the one that restores the child mind, and the one that opens the receiving channel. Both paths are in the description below and in the pinned comment above. 3 doors are there. The first for restoration of the child mind, the second for opening the receiving channel, the third for the complete journey that most chosen ones who have walked this road recognize as theirs. Your spirit knows which door belongs to this season. Step into the one that calls you without forcing. Receive it the way a chosen one receives. From the place of knowing, you were always meant to have it. Press like as your agreement with what was opened tonight. And if you want to continue in the revelation of what this season is bringing, stay connected. What was spoken tonight is only the beginning of what has been prepared for the ones who are arriving at their threshold in this generation. And now, let what was said here settle into the place where truth settles, not the thinking place, the knowing place. The place that has always known what you are, even in the seasons when the outer world could not see it yet. That place knows the truth of this night. And the truth of this night is a door. Walk through it. You were made for what is on the other side. Every season of your life, every year of the wilderness, every moment of the fire was preparation for this exact threshold. The one who formed you knew where this road was going from the very beginning. And now, so do you. Be still, breathe, and receive. You are exactly who God needed you to become, and so it is. Amen.